As you probably know, a recent spike in heroin use in the U.S. is cause for concern. All over the United States, more and more rural towns are becoming highly addicted to heroin. Some basic facts about this growingly popular drug are: there are over 1.2 million people in the United States that use heroin. Heroin overdoses have caused more deaths than traffic accidents in the past several years. Heroin can be injected, snorted, or smoked. Heroin acts as a stimulant to the brain and body, seeing it as a reward. Everyone, including myself, is wondering, how does a drug like this infiltrate small towns and communities? As studies have shown, heroin is what I call a curiosity drug. Many people try it for reasons like expenses and wanting a better high, not realizing how easy it is to become addicted. Many people start off experimenting with things like alcohol and marijuana. After a while, those aren't enough. I'm going to read you a section of an article from Christian Science Monitor about a girl and what led her to heroin. The name of this girl is changed for security reasons. Anna was a good student in middle school. She got above average grades, seemed poised and self-possessed, and, like many of her friends in her charming coastal town north of Boston, was on a probable path to college. Then, during her freshman year in high school, she decided to experiment with drugs and alcohol. One night, she got very drunk with some friends and loved it. She says it made her feel like the person she wanted to be. Before long, she was also smoking marijuana. Soon after, a friend gave her some prescription painkiller pills to try, which Anna, obviously not her real name, says made her feel even better than the alcohol. She started buying the pills illicitly, often spending several $100s a day. She stole to support her habit, but it wasn't enough. Then her friend asked her why not try heroin since it's so much cheaper. Anna was shocked. Heroin, after all, was for real drug addicts. But by that time, her dependence on painkillers had become more than she could resist. She bought the heroin, snorting the powder at first, but within 6 days she was injecting herself with a needle, becoming the classic type of heroin addict. This story is so shockingly relatable, and I feel as though kids in more rural towns can be prone to this. As compared to big cities, there isn't much to do in rural areas. More high school students turn to things such as alcohol and drugs for fun without realizing the risks. And it definitely doesn't help how cheap and effective heroin can be. When people are young, they are almost willing to do anything. It couldn't be explained more perfectly from Michael Wilson. Michael Wilson epitomizes how seamless the move between heroin and painkillers can be. In his teen years, Mr. Wilson says he would try anything once. If he liked it, he would keep doing it. That experimental fervor led to addiction, homelessness, and prison. It's scary to think that people I'm surrounded by can get caught up in this new fad before coming to their senses. Not only is heroin impacting people of younger generations in their personal lives, but many workforces are being impacted as well. Managers and business owners are noticing dips in staff productivity. In Allen County, Ohio, around 70% of people could not be hired for job positions because of failed drug tests. This is causing the businesses to be short-staffed and halting on expansion. People that are more often involved in property damage at the workplace more often than not tested positive for opioids, aka things like heroin, in their system. Between 2010 and 2013, there has been an 82% increase in positive drug tests for heroin. A quote from Ariane Campbell-Flores, a 2011 Justice Department study found that the economic cost of drug abuse generally in the U.S. was $193 billion, mainly due to loss of productivity, which means people coming to work high and not being able to do anything to help the business is becoming more serious. There are steps businesses are taking to be knowledgeable about the drug. Supervisors in businesses in Ohio are starting to be trained on how to recognize someone who may be high while at work and take proper steps to remove them from the situation. Random drug screenings and searches will happen by police officers in these states, and businesses are often even funding their local stations to make sure that these actions can continue. There are also many workplaces starting support groups for heroin addicts. Many managers and business owners will tell you that they would rather help and see them get better than to ignore the situation. Some people may believe that business owners are trying to knock addicts out of the workplace completely, keeping them in the cycle of addiction. But as Mr. Bergiois from Ohio says, the goal is not to force them out of work. The goal is to get them help, rehabilitate them, and get them back to the workplace. The last topic I would like to mention about heroin is the ways of curing it. Currently, there are other drugs that are less potent than heroin going around that are used to try to cure heroin addiction. I believe that this is just making the problem worse. In some ways, yes, they are curing their addiction for heroin, but they are driving their addiction for this new drug. I believe that if they're going to do this, they should regulate it more often and the government should control it even more. As we all may expect, it has infiltrated on the streets, which can be even worse because that can be even more of a gateway drug for heroin. Thank you for a wonderful semester in sociology. Hope to see you again soon.